Hello everyone, today we are going to solve chemistry section, and before that an update that I have already created a telegram channel for you all. It is called Nest Exam /Nicer/CBS, so we can communicate well there. I will share the study material and written solution for this paper in that channel. Now let us go solving the questions for this section. So the first question, it's a very easy question. So as you can see, in H3PO2 there are two oxygen which are already covered in one P double bond O and one P single bond O. So remaining hydrogen will be direct pH bonds, so it has two pH bonds. However, in H3PO3 there is one extra oxygen, so there is one PO bond, there is another PO bond and one more. So remaining hydrogen there is only one pH bond. So the right answer is 2, 1. Now next question, oxidation of NaBH4 with iodine results in evolution of colorless gas X along with formation of NaI and H2. Okay, so if you write this reaction, NaBH4, this is positive, this is negative, plus I2 gives some colorless gas along with NaI and hydrogen gas. So it's very clear that BH4 is actually BH3 plus one extra ion, right? Because it is a Lewis acid and there is Na plus. So definitely it always generally gives H2 gas. So what next is actually left? BH3 plus BH3, it forms B2H6. So it's a very simple and very famous reaction, you all must remember for later also. So the question was, it forms colorless gas X, so which is actually diborane. Then this X reacts with 6 moles of NH3. 6 moles of NH3. This is also a very famous reaction which immediately gives product Y accompanied by evolution of hydrogen gas, which actually the intermediate is HBN, B triple bond N, which finally gives H3B3N3, right? So this is a kind of a benzene kind of a compound with Bn. You must remember these questions are very important. So this compound is formed. Therefore the right answer is B2H6 and this I forgot the name of this one right now. Next question, the correct order of acidity is. So initially I was also confused with this question. If you see H2O2 and C2H2, okay, so C2H2, this is an alkene, alkyne, right? C triple bond C and hydrogen, this is an alkyne, that is ethyne, and this is a peroxide. So hydrogen peroxide has one acidic hydrogen, right, and this ethyne, but as compared to HSCN and HCN, these are definitely stronger acids. Why? The point here lies in the formation of the remaining thing, for example conjugate base. So when these react, the conjugate base formed are like this, right? This has already drawn here. So these conjugate base are generally stable. Now we have to compare which conjugate base is more stable. So order for ethyne and peroxide is definitely going to be like this, because peroxide has an acidic hydrogen as compared to ethyne. So generally organic acids are very weak, so definitely ethyne triple bond, it is going to be weaker, so this ethyne will be there. So this order is definitely wrong. There will be ethyne and ethyne at last, which these two can be correct answers. Now you compare that these are similar options where only difference is HCN and HSCN. Now if you see the stability of their conjugate base, which is this and this, SHCN is much more stable because it has a sulfur which has extra d orbitals and a large atom which can stabilize negative charge. Therefore correct option is first one. Okay, so let us go to the next question. In electrolytic refining of blister copper, acidified, the options are acidified CuNH3,4, this ion can be used as electrolyte or not. Okay, this is the first option. So if you remember the electrolytic refining of blister copper, we have impure copper at this place, anode, and at cathode we have pure strip, and this solution electrolyte is CuSO4 plus H2SO4, acidified this. Now the whole role is that this solid Cu copper becomes Cu plus 2 in solution, which then goes and deposits to pure strip. Now in order to have this, the electrolyte which is in this process is copper sulfate, and which in turn becomes copper, right? So the electrolyte should be copper, should have copper plus 2 ion, but in this option it is not a copper plus 2 ion, it cannot give copper plus 2, okay, because this whole cation will move as a whole molecule, okay, so it cannot give copper plus 2 ion, so copper plus 2 cannot deposit at cathode, therefore this option is wrong. Second option is pure copper deposits at anode and metal impurities these go into the solution as ion, which is totally wrong, it deposits at cathode. Then pure copper deposits at cathode while Ag and these remain at anode, which is true, deposits at cathode, and these are called as anode mud. Last option, copper plus 2 reduces to copper at anode and this oxidizes at cathode, which is opposite, wrong. Going to next question. Consider the chemical reaction P2Q being carried out in two different vessels X and Y with 1 liter solution of P in each one of them. Reactions are started with 1 mole of P in X and 2 mole of P in Y. So you take two containers X and Y. There is 1 mole of P in X and 2 moles in Y, and the reaction is same, P2Q. P is added continuously to both vessels at rate 1 mole per second during first 2 seconds only. Okay, let's do that. For 2 seconds we will add at the rate of 1 mole per second. So in 2 seconds we will add 2 moles of extra P. Then it is observed that concentration of P remains constant at initial value in both the vessels during the addition. So if it seems that concentration of P is same, that means the rate is 1 mole per second. It's common sense, you are adding 1 mole per second for 2 seconds and initially it seems that there is no change in P, so the rate of reaction is 1 mole per second. And one more thing, as you can see, there is 2 moles of P in Y and 1 mole of P in X. That means, and still the reaction is going at same rate, that means it is a zero order reaction, right? It is a zero order reaction, so it doesn't matter what is the concentration of P in any container. Then volume change due to addition of P is neglected and instantaneous mixing is assumed, obviously. Then concentration of P by Q, this ratio at T equals to 3 seconds. It's a very simple question. There is a zero order reaction, rate of reaction we already know, 1 mole per second. All we need to do is just calculate that initially there was 3 moles of P in X and there was in X and there was 2 plus 2, which is 4 moles of P in X. But the question, note that it is asking only for Y. So see, this is the way they kind of confuse people. The only concentration of P and Q they are asking is in Y. So in Y we will focus on Y, not on X. So in Y there was 4 moles of P at the end of 2 seconds, which is depleting at 1 mole per second. After 3 seconds it will become 4 minus 3, which is 1 mole of P is left. Q is forming at the rate 1 mole per second. Does not matter what is the container or concentration of P. So in 3 seconds Q will form 3 moles. So what is the concentration? Assuming that there is same volume as it is already given in the question. See, it is given that change in volume is neglected. So it is 1 mole of P divided by 3 moles of Q. So it is 1 by 3. Going to next question. Internal energy per mole of an ideal gas is denoted by E ideal. Same for real gas obeying van der Waals equation is E real. Assuming average kinetic energy of molecules in two gases remain at same temperature to be equal. Okay, so we are assuming that average kinetic energy equal for both ideal and real gases at same temperature. The correct statement for gas at low pressure is. So note, in this question was a bit confusing for me also. I do not know the exact correct answer, and before that also I have already given disclaimer in my previous videos that I can also make mistakes. Some of the solutions may go wrong, so do not trust blindly. Use your own brain. So the best solution which I could find for this question is, if you see the options are like E real more than or less than E ideal, this is equal or not, and similar things. So internal energy is actually a combination of kinetic plus potential plus vibrational plus blah blah blah, every kind of energy in a gas or system. So for ideal gas, it is already given, there is just kinetic energy but no plus extra blah blah energies, but there is no potential energy because molecules do not have intermolecular forces. For real gas, there is a kinetic energy plus blah 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 energies, but there is also potential energy. Now initially what I had thought that since K plus V will add up, so E real will be more than E ideal, but that is not the case, as you can see in the answer. So the best explanation I could come up with is that actually for potential energy we take negative sign as a convention, right? So the internal energy of E real becomes K minus V. For ideal it is just K, no V. So it does not matter it's low pressure or what. I do not know why they give low pressure. So it seems E real will be less than E ideal. That is, first is correct. So second option obviously is wrong. E real decreases for isothermal expansion. So you're keeping the temperature constant, that means kinetic energy you are taking constant. So the statement says E real decreases for isothermal expansion. So if we go through the same logic that V is negative, right? So if V is negative and there is expansion, that means molecules are farther apart, so there is lesser V. So there is lesser V means there is lesser thing to be subtracted from K. So the E real actually increases, not decrease. So this option is wrong. Now E ideal decreases for isothermal expansion. So for E ideal gas, it does not matter because there is no V. So this option is also wrong. So the logic which we use, that there is minus V, seems to be consistent with other options. Now going to next question. Consider a cyclic process PQRP, right? Cyclic process for a system. Among the following combination of steps that can never happen leading to this cyclic process is. So we'll have to read various options and solve them. It is a bit lengthy question which I generally recommend people to do at last. But if this part of your chemistry is your strength, then do it. So first option, P2Q is adiabatic irreversible expansion, if we assume. So irreversible is a straight line, P2Q. Adiabatic, no matter what thing, irreversible is generally always irreversible. Irreversible is straight line. Then Q2R is adiabatic reversible. So if you remember the slope of the curve, it is actually going to be a curve. So it is Q2R is a curve. Now R to P is adiabatic reversible. It says adiabatic reversible. So the reversible thing of adiabatic, the slope will remain same. So it will try to go through P, which will not make a cyclic process. Therefore this option is right. If we go to next option, adiabatic irreversible, P2Q, okay, same straight line. Q2R, adiabatic reversible, okay, same thing, a curve. From R to P, isothermal reversible. So if you remember that slope of isothermal reversible is less than slope of adiabatic reversible. So with the same logic, R can go to P. Therefore this this is possible, therefore this option is wrong. Third option, adiabatic reversible P2Q, okay, straight line P2Q. Q2R adiabatic reversible, okay, curve, same thing. R2P isothermal irreversible. So if you see this graph clearly, instead of making a curve you can also make a straight line, right? So this option is also possible, therefore this option is wrong. I mean this process is possible, therefore this option is wrong, because in the question they have asked it can never happen. Last option, P2Q is isothermal irreversible. So straight line P2Q, fine. Q2R isothermal reversible. So we'll draw a curve Q2R. Now from R to P isothermal reversible. So definitely from R to P you can go back in isothermal reversible curve, which will also make a cyclic process. Therefore this option is also wrong. So this question seemed very difficult, but actually it is very easy if you have fundamentals clear. Let us go to next question. This question is actually this is a very famous reaction. I think it is called cumene synthesis process. It is in the cumene synthesis, and mechanism is as I have already written here. If you see, this is the reactant, then H plus, this lone pair attack the H plus, and there is a protonation of this. Then there, if you remember that as this is a good, H3O plus is a good leaving group, there is a migration, okay, there is a migration, and since pH has better migratory aptitude than this alkyl group, therefore pH will migrate, and as this migrates there is a positive charge here and this pH is here, and we have minus H2O. Then due to this cation, it seems a very stable cation because there is resonance from this lone pair of oxygen, there is hyperconjugation effect from this, and similarly one more hyperconjugation hydrogen here, then alpha hydrogen here. Then H2O again attacks H2O or OH2, you can say H2O or OH2 attacks this carbocation and forms this intermediate. Then finally there is minus H, this hydrogen leaves minus H plus and gives the lone pair to this oxygen. We have this, again there is a protonation, again there is a protonation of this alcohol group. Remember that we draw signal this arrow from lone pair electron rich species to electron deficient species. Then we have this compound, and then finally there is a protonation here, so this electron goes here and this proton leaves here. So no, wait, the protonation which I draw is wrong. There is a protonation of this oxygen, and then there is a positive charge here, then this bond leaves and there is a cleavage occurring. So we finally get a ketone and a phenol. So the right option is coming to next this question. Carbocations are important intermediates in organic reaction. They are often stabilized by resonance, inductive effect, hypoconjugation. Okay, cations that can stabilize by hypoconjugation is very simple question. All you need to look for is alpha hydrogens. If you see the option, it seems very confusing. That means they have, I think, included the other resonance structures. If you just see the first option, you see that there is just one hydrogen here, one hydrogen here, but there is no alpha hydrogen near to this cation. So this option is wrong. But if you see a resonance structure of this, that means this bond will shift here, and there will be a positive charge here which will make a cation like this and a cation here. If you see here also there is no alpha hydrogen, so this other resonance structure is also not stable. So this option is wrong. If you explore this option, definitely there is no alpha hydrogen here, wrong. And since this is symmetric, all resonance structure are going to be like this. So there is no alpha hydrogen, no hypoconjugation. you see third option, it seems here that there is no alpha hydrogen, as you can see, because cation is here, hydrogens are here, but they are very far away. So if you draw other resonance structures like this, you will get cation, you will get a cation near to alpha hydrogens, 3 alpha hydrogens. So just see the trick, that it is not directly given in the molecule, but if you draw the resonance structure you can see alpha hydrogen. So this option is right. And then finally this question, there is obviously no chance of having a alpha hydrogen, there is no other resonance structure, so this option is also wrong. Coming to next question, hydrogenation of cyclohexene and benzene take place as shown below. Resonance energy of benzene is minus 36 kilocalorie per mole. Okay, seems very simple question. The relation between x and y is, so if you see the energy profile is of both molecules, definitely benzene is much more stable, so it will be at lower part. Cyclohexene is less stable than benzene, less resonance energy, therefore it will be upper, and the gap will be 36 kilocalorie per mole, right, as given. So if you do cyclohexene, if you do the hydrogenation of cyclohexene, 3 cyclohexene will give 3x, you will need 3x energy. For benzene you will need, first you need to give that resonance energy, right, which is 36. Therefore if you give 36 kilojoule per calorie, kilocalorie per mole, this much energy, then it will finally become a cycle, then it will just lose its resonance energy, but then again you will have to, when you will hydrogenate, how much energy will be released after hydrogenation? Minus 3x. So if you take minus 3x plus 36, which is total energy released, which will be minus y. So if I am talking in terms of released, it will be minus, and if I am talking in terms of giving, it is plus 36. So I have taken this convention that if you are giving, then it will be positive, if energy is released, then negative. So if you solve this, simply y equals to 3x minus 36, which anyway seems from common sense. So this definitely a wrong option. Out of this you can simply get the answer. Now coming to next question, complexes, all are, if you see that all are cobalt complexes, there is X ligand, Y ligand, Z ligand, all octahedral complexes, 6 ligands, absorb at 700, 475 and 310 nanometer respectively. Ligands X, Y, Z are most likely to be. So as expected, this question is from spectrochemical series. Right, therefore they say generally to memorize the spectrochemical series, and if you have memorized it, you know that generally nitrogen has better ligand, is a better ligand, nitrogen centers, and the halides come at later part, they are not so good ligands. So if why they have given you lambda, that means greater lambda, lesser will be the frequency, and energy is directly proportional to frequency, equals to h nu. Therefore if you take this as first lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, 1 2 3, the nu 1 will be less than nu 2, will be less than nu 3. So more the stable ligand, better ligand, more stable the complex will be formed, and it will be involving higher energy, that means higher frequency. So by common sense, cyanide is a better ligand, so it will have maximum frequency nu 3, then ammonia nu 2, and finally fluoride nu 1. So this option is definitely right. Next question, consider a catalyzed reaction R2P. K catalyst and K uncatalyzed are rate constants for catalyzed and uncatalyzed reactions respectively. However, catalyst becomes inactive at temperature more than 400 Kelvin. The graph that reasonably depicts temperature dependence of overall rate constants. So first of all, I hope you know that rate constant depends on temperature according to Arrhenius equation. Then if you take log of both sides, you get equation like this, where slope is EA by R. R is a constant, so it is directly proportional to activation energy. And I hope you also know that catalyst actually works by changing the activation energy, right? There are many factors for kinetics, and one of them is activation energy. So catalyst lowers the activation energy. As a result, reaction happens much easily. So K catalyst, rate constant in presence of catalyst, will have lesser EA, lesser activation energy. So there will be less negative slope. Not in presence of catalyst, that means K uncatalyst will have activation energy which is the real activation energy, so it will have less negative slope. So by this it seems very clear that K catalyst will have more negative slope, less negative slope, and K N catalyst will have more negative slope. So this will be more like a straight line and this will be more like a stiff curve. But if you see the trick, the graph is with 1 by K. That means higher temperature is initially at the initial places of the graph and low temperature is here. So 1 by 400 is around 2.5 into 10 power minus 4. So first which graph should come? First should come this graph, the steeper graph, and then a less steep graph should come. Now, so if you see various options given here, definitely this could be one option, but it cannot be. Why? Because this is less steep and this is more steep, so this is not the option. If you this second, this is definitely not, because there is two different processes, in presence and not in presence of catalyst, so it cannot be a smooth curve. Actually there will be a discontinuity at this point. Then this one seems correct, maybe. And finally, if you see the last one, there is a discontinuity, which is expected, because in this case the value of EA is different, EA by R, and here it is different, right? So this discontinuity should be there, therefore last option is correct. Now next question. 3 separate reversible processes 1, 2, 3 are carried out with 1 mole of an ideal gas initially at STP. In this process, pressure is measured while increasing any of the 3 quantities: volume, temperature, and number of moles. So you have PV equals to nRT. You are measuring P by taking just one of the variable P, V, N, or T. R is definitely constant. Okay. Plots of P versus X. X can be, moles, temperature, or 1 by volume for processes, and plots are given. Okay. Plots of P versus X are found to be linear. All of them are found to be linear as expected, because other variables are constant. So for the process 1, 2, and 3, numerical values of slopes M1, M2, and M3 of P versus X plots are found to be follow this order: M1, M2, and M3 respectively. Correct statement is, so concluding that what they are doing, they are plotting graph of P versus some variable X. X can be N, R, N, T, or 1 by V. So if you see P equals to NR by nRT by V, so if you change N, keep other things constant, slope will be RT by V, as you can see here. So P versus N graph, slope is RT by V. For P versus T graph, slope is R by V. For P versus 1 by V graph, slope is RT. Now they have said that 3 slopes are there: M1, M2, M3, and there is a order M1, M2, and M3. But we do not know whether one is this or this or any one. So which one is 1, which one is 2, which one is 3? So if you simply see the trick is here, that you need to see the slopes. So definitely RT value is biggest, right? Because in other values you are dividing V. So whenever there is division, the value becomes less. So RT is maximum, that means it should be M1. So the first plot is P versus 1 by V. This is M1. Second highest value is RT by V or R by V. It is R into T by V, right? And finally the least slope is R by V. So this is M2 and M3 is R by V. So this is the second plot, P versus N, and the third plot is P versus T. So now you know which reaction is 1, which is 2, which is 3, which plot. Seeing the options, work done is 0 for process 3. Yes, definitely, because volume is constant. Because process 3 is P versus T graph, which means only pressure and volume are changing. Pressure and temperature are changing. Volume is kept constant. So definitely work done is PdV, which is 0. So this option is right. Second is heat is completely converted into work for process 1. Process 1 is P versus 1 by V. Temperature is constant and R is definitely a constant. So all we are changing is P and V. So if you want to keep temperature constant, which is isothermal, so at isothermal change, internal energy becomes 0. So U equals to Q plus W, which is 0. So Q is minus W. So the heat is completely converted into work, because when you are doing work, internal energy has to be same, which is 0. Change in internal energy is 0. So the work you are doing is coming at the expense of heat. So heat is converted into work. Then entropy remains constant in this process 2. Process 2 is changing the number of moles, which is definitely wrong, because when you add or decrease the number of molecules, entropy will change. Last option, average kinetic speed of molecules remains constant in process 3. Process 3 is P versus T. So when you change temperature, kinetic energy changes, therefore average speed of molecule is not same, so this is also a wrong option. So coming to the next question, a homogeneous mixture of compounds PQR is spotted on a thin layer chromatography plate. TLC plate is made of acidic silica. The spotted TLC plate is placed in a closed jar containing diethyl ether as a mobile phase eluent. As the eluent rises up TLC plate, the compounds of the mixture separate and travel to different distances. Developed TLC plate is shown below. Okay, so basically they showed the TLC plate like this. This is, I have written, they did not write this. This is the question, and they have shown compounds P, Q, R, S. Based on our information, the correct statement is R. So from here, question, here the multiple choice question starts. After question 36, we have multiple choice question from 37, 38, and 2 more questions like that. Now, so we have compound PQRS, and there is a TLC plate. All of you know about adsorption and chromatography. If you note, they have mentioned acidic silica, right? So the basic compounds, the base will stick to acids more. Therefore, first will you can see here NH2 groups. So these two compounds will stick to the TLC plate, so they will move less. P and Q do not have any basic functional groups, so they will travel farther. If you could see the options, so based on these things, if we try to find our own, make TLC plate, which should be the most probable movement of these compounds, RS will be at bottom, PQ will be at top. PQ will be traveling more because diethyl ether is a polar aprotic solvent, right? so it's not protic, and it's polar solvent, ether. So P will go farther than Q. Why? Because P is lighter than Q if you see the molar mass, and this functional group is ester, so it is not so acidic. Therefore P will go fastest to the top, then will go Q. If you see R and S both have amine group, but again based on molecular formula S is heavier, so S will be below R. So the order will be P, Q, R, S, and element rises from top to bottom in the TLC jar if you make a jar like this, right? So the options are separation of compounds depends on the degree of adsorption, which is true. Compound Q moves faster than P, which is false because Q is heavier than P, and it will not make much difference because the functional group on Q is also acidic, so it will not stick much to silica. Therefore Q is lighter, so Q will move faster, not P will move faster, not Q. So this is wrong. Compound R moves slower than P and Q. So R moves slower than P and Q, which is true because R is basic. R has a NH2 group which will stick to silica plate and it will move slowly. Finally, compound S is expected to move slower than R, which is true based on the molar mass. So this is done. Next question. Considering the following reaction, these are the reactants in presence of diethyl ether, again polar aprotic solvent, we get this another kind of ether and this HBr. Correct statements is R. If concentration of allyl bromide is doubled, rate will be this. If concentration of ethyl is doubled, this blah blah. So it mostly options are about changing the concentration, which is about order of reaction. So if you see the mechanism of this reaction, the reactant actually makes a vinyl cation, right? This cation is very stable, and this compound will Br is a good leaving group, you know. This will go like this, so it will make this cation plus Br minus, which is a stable leaving group, and this has 2 electrons, so at 2n 4n plus 2, you know, these resonance structures are stable, so this vinyl cation is very stable. So when cation is stable, what is the order of a reaction generally? SN1. Then we have this nucleophile alcohol, so this alcohol will attack to this part and this leaving group will go away, and we will have multiple resonance structure of this. Then finally we will get this kind of compound, right? So based on mechanism, this is SN1 reaction, only SN1, that means only the order depends on the stability of carbocation, right? So all depends on the stability of this compound, it depends only on this reaction. So allyl bromide, so concentration of allyl bromide is doubled, that means rate will be doubled, true. If concentration of ethanol is doubled, reaction is doubled, no, because it does not depend on ethanol. Then concentration of allyl bromide and ethanol are double, rate is quadruple, false, it does not depend on ethanol. If reaction of allyl bromide, if the concentration of allyl bromide and ethanol are doubled, rate of reaction is doubled, which is true, because if allyl bromide is doubled, reaction will be doubled, and ethanol does not make any difference. So this is also right. So chemistry section is done. We'll discuss the mathematics section later. With that, thank you very much, and if you have any other questions or if you find any problem in my explanation, if I'm not able to explain properly, you can definitely write in the comment section. And if you like these videos, do like, share and subscribe.